Hello, this is Chris Wilkie with Hosskey Consulting, and today I just want to talk about storytelling. So I'm going to ask you to listen to two different things. One's going to just be a set of facts, one's going to be a story. Then I'm going to ask you some questions at the end and really make you think about it. So just so you guys know, when I was a senior in high school, decided to start my own DJing business, and my parents bought me equipment and got going. So another story, junior year of high school, three friends and I, being some little high school brats, we decided that we wanted to not go to homeroom and join an organization instead. And if my teacher from the time ever watches this, we will gladly admit that the reason we joined BPA to start, which is Business Professionals of America, was because we wanted to skip homeroom. We didn't want to sit and do homework. We wanted to go and talk and be on the computers and enjoy each other. So what we did was we actually went, and she goes, well, if you're going to be here, you're going to need to compete in the state competition, or at least the district competition. So my friends and I decided we were going to do a team project. Figured four of us, that's a fourth of the work as you would on an individual project, so let's go ahead and do it. So what we ended up signing up for was economic research team. We were given a topic, we were supposed to write a paper and give a speech over it. And the really, really cool part about this thing is that we didn't have to compete at district. It was an automatic entry into the state competition just if you signed up. So us being smart thought, okay, well, we get to go and hey, 2 days out of school to go to Indianapolis. We get to go to the district competition, and we don't have to compete. We're guaranteed to make it. This sounds like a fun time. We get to go with our parents' money, have a good old time in Indy. And this is the time where you thought there was just going to be a lot of good-looking women around. See, as a high schooler, you start learning things very quickly. Anyway, what we ended up doing was we did this paper, and at first we didn't really know what we were going to do. So then we decided to write and talk about the Silk Road and compare it to the growth of the China and Indian economy and show how they were slowly going to grow and outgrow the United States and become world powers again. So we did this, and you're like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. We read a lot of books, and I still know a lot about China and India that I never thought I would. So we were always told that you got to stand out, and you can tell just in our mentality of how Hosskey works, we stand out. We aren't the typical business. If I had to have a motto in my life, it's don't be typical, be something special. And I think I just made that up, but I'm going to go with it. And so what we did was we wrote a speech, and we focused it on the meaning of, or where the phrase "Saved by the Bell" came from. And we were going to tie this story into our speech and talk about China and India's economy. So we found out from lots of research and randomly stumbling around online that the phrase "Saved by the Bell" actually came from olden times, and that what happened is a lot of the times the doctors wouldn't know if the person was dead or not. They just kind of assumed they weren't breathing, no pulse, low pulse, they're dead. So they'd bury him, and I guess it was a real problem, is that people would be buried alive, and they'd be scratching, and they'd pull up these coffins, exhume them, I don't really know. I guess it was bad. So what they decided to do instead is, I guess cemeteries back in the day were very social places. You'd have picnics, meals, everything there. So what they did was they tied strings to the people that had passed away as they buried them on their wrists. They tied it to a bell of the top above the ground. And basically, if you woke up and you were in a coffin, you would move your hands like a crazy person because you were buried alive, and the bell would start ringing. So people would know to come and dig up that grave immediately. So that is how Saved by the Bell works. If you heard the bell, you were saved by it. The graveyard shift were the people that were walking around in the evenings, and they were there at night to kind of clean up the place, make sure it's all nice, and they would actually be listening for the bells. So that graveyard shift is tied to Saved by the Bell. So we actually did this speech, and we, oddly enough, we won the state competition. We had a fantastic paper, got a perfect score on that. Speech had 2 from perfect, and they just loved it. That actually gave us free tuition at Ivy Tech for a year, got us to go to Reno, Nevada, and we flew out there and we had this competition. So we thought, okay, well, what are we going to do to stand out? And we actually wore all black and these really colorful ties. And we walked into the final presentation and we did our speech. The people looked at us like, where are they going with this? Where are they going with this? Because we told that story I just said. And then it hits on them. Oh, they're talking about China and India. They told us it was one of the best speeches they had ever heard. And then we actually got to they actually had the announcement for the winners at the end. We actually ended up placing second in the nation for the economic research paper. And we found out we lost by 1 point to a group from Michigan. And it was just because they had a few extra sources and a few extra facts in their paper. And that was the determining factor in the story. So we were able to win second in the nation. A small group, or a group of 4 students from Tri Junior Senior High School in the middle of a cornfield, were able to write the second best economic research paper in the nation in this competition. So, now that you've learned a little about me and my background, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Number one, do you even remember what I said at the start? Some of you may be going, oh yeah, I remember. Some of you may be like, no, you just talked about economic research for a while and how you guys won second in the nation. Well, I told you I was a DJ. There's a big story behind me being a DJ and how I started my business, but I didn't tell you that. So you can tell the more memorable of the stories that was told. I just told you facts at the start. The memorable story was me and the economic research team. You guys will never forget where that Saved by the Bell story came from, and you'll never forget the graveyard shift. Just something that is going to be set in your head. You're also going to remember that Chris went to Reno, Nevada, and he's a little slacker sometimes, and that's why he joined in the first place, because he didn't want to be in homeroom. The storytelling aspect of that story is extremely powerful. Your mind is designed to remember stories. People that remember facts just have a way of doing that, but the majority of people remember by stories. And this happens all the time. I'm a professor at Ivy Tech, and I teach students how to do basic algebra and basic math. And I find that storytelling with the numbers and the letters is the best way to teach them. And you'll find that when you're working with your clients and your prospects, the best way to communicate with them is through a story. Build a story around your product and your brand, and use that story to educate the other people about it. I'll do another video blog in a little bit about educational marketing and how that plays into the world of inbound marketing and digital marketing and just marketing in general. But always remember to have a story. Austin and I really tried to tell our stories, and you'll tell that in a previous video blog of mine. I tell my story of how I came up on Hosskey. You'll hear a few more versions of that story and how we got started on our struggles, but we want you guys to know us, and you want to be a part of us so you can feel like you're growing with us. And we may be two 22-year-old guys that started a business, but we have a story, we have a reason behind it. Think of your favorite brands. Think of your favorite products. You probably have a story that's tied in with them. Either it's a personal story or a story that's been told to you. And like the melting pot, that's where I proposed to my wife at. I have a story, and I will tell people that story. And it's the best kind of marketing for them because it shows them how special a dinner can be. So just think about the different stories in your life and figure out, remember that you remember stories better than you do facts. So this is Chris Wilkie with Hosskey Consulting, and we ask for you to check us out at Hosskey Consulting. Actually, take that back, hosskey.com, and we want to make it easier on you instead of consulting. But also, you can email us anytime at hosskeyconsulting@gmail.com or tweet at us at Hosskey, Hosskey, and you can learn more about us and find out our story and why we do what we do and why you're sitting here watching me for 8 minutes talk about stories. So I can't wait to listen and hear from you guys via social media, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks and have a great day.